Since I began lifting 6 years ago, I like to think I learned a few things. I definitely made my fair share of mistakes, wasted time, energy, and money on, stuff that didn't really matter or move the needle one bit. So, in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 things I wish I knew when I started, because if someone had just told me these things, I would have gotten results a hell of a lot faster and built a better physique in half the time. The very first thing I wish someone told me is how to actually apply progressive overload to make the most gains. You hear the phrase thrown around constantly, but no one ever really explained to me how to use it correctly. Early on, I thought I was smart. I thought doing more was better. More sets equals more growth. So thinking I was onto something here, I would look up workouts on YouTube from some bodybuilders. I'd find a chest workout, a shoulder workout, and a triceps workout, and then I would mash them all together into one push day. They were all meant to be separate workouts, by the way, and it felt like I was putting in work for sure. I mean, each workout was probably a total of at least 20 to 30 sets, but in reality, I was doing way too much volume with no structure and no progression, just accumulating a whole bunch of unnecessary fatigue and doing a ton of junk volume. Progressive overload is the foundation of muscle growth. Your body adapts to the stress you place on it, but only if that stress exceeds what it's already used to. I think the easiest way to kind of visualize this is like building calluses. So you get repeated friction on your skin, the body then adapts and reinforces that area. Training is the same. Apply enough mechanical tension and stress, and the body reinforces muscle fibers to better handle that stress next time. But that stress must be appropriately dosed. Too little, you won't grow. Too much, and you exceed your recovery capacity. That's why your training must be structured, repeatable, and most importantly, progressive over time. So there are 3 key ways to apply progressive overload I wish I knew. The first is increase reps with the same weight. The second is improve your execution, so you get more control, better range of motion, improved form, so you're generating more tension on the muscle you're trying to train. And number 3, slightly increasing the load or weight without sacrificing your form. And here's one of the most effective ways to actually apply this. I wish someone had told me from the jump. It's called the double progression model. So first, set a rep range. Let's say, for this example, 5 to 8. Spoiler alert, lower reps done properly, accurately, are often better because you reach effective reps faster, they generate far less fatigue, and you do stimulate high threshold motor units basically from the outset. Nevertheless, stick with the same weight and aim to beat your rep count every single week. Then once you reach the top of the rep range, so in this example 8 reps, that's when you bump the weight up slightly, which will then bring your reps back down. And all you do is repeat that cycle. So let's say I go in week 1, bench press, 45 pounds on either side, so a plate on either side, and I get 5 reps. Okay, solid. Next week, I'm trying to get 6. The week after that, I'm trying to get 7, and so on until I reach 8. Once I reach 8, that's when I slap a 10 on either side. So now it's 45 and a 10, and you repeat that cycle. That's how you should progress week to week to maximize hypertrophy. And in order to do this, you must track your workouts. So you can use notes on your phone, an app like Rep Count, free, great. My clients know we have our own coaching app that allows us to track. You could use a pen and paper walking in there, just old school. Any way works, just track your training. Now, the body doesn't care about how much weight is on the bar. It cares about the internal mechanical tension, the signal that says we need to grow. So don't fall into the mistake of chasing your numbers. Chase high quality effort that progressively challenges your muscles over time. So one mistake I made when I started is went from super shit, just combining a bunch of workouts together, doing a ton of junk volume, to now, okay, I'm applying progressive overload, at least so I thought. But I fell into the trap of trying to just beat my lifts no matter how I achieved that rep, that beat what I got the week before. So I would be moving the weight in all types of different ways, shifting my hips, and that is not a stimulus to your muscles. You're just using a mechanical advantage to progress the weight, which is not applying progressive overload. So the key is when you are progressing, make sure your form is standardized and progress while keeping your form the same. So the second thing I wish someone had told me is if you want to make the most out of your time in the gym pertaining to muscle growth, then, this ties into point 1, master your form and technique as fast as possible. Your form, your tempo, your control, these are not minor details to be ignored. They are quite literally what will dictate the rate at which you build muscle. An easy way to think of it that really made it click for me is think of it like music. Intensity, we can think of as the volume, how loud your training is. So first, above all, we need to crank that knob all the way up so you're at least training within 3 reps in reserve. But mechanical tension is the rhythm. You know, if you listen to a song and the rhythm sucks, it's going to be shit. So no matter how loud, how hard you're training, if there's no mechanical tension, you're not going to be growing. So the same applies in the gym. Mechanical tension is the key driver of hypertrophy. Without the tension, your training is just basically just effort with nowhere near the results. So in order to maximize mechanical tension, we have to first lift heavy weight, and second, control that weight using a good tempo, a full range of motion, and we must be pushing our sets close to failure without our form breaking down. Now, by far the fastest shortcut to mastering your form is filming your sets. Now, you don't need to bring in a tripod. That can be a little like, whoa, what's going on here? Just use your water bottle, set your phone up on it, 0.5 zoom, and then compare that clip to someone who has elite technique. See the differences. Look at your last reps specifically to see when it matters most. When you're recruiting those high threshold motor units, is my form slipping, or am I doing a good job keeping things under control? Are my eccentrics speeding up towards the end, or am I keeping things consistent? If you do this consistently, your form will improve dramatically in just a few weeks, I promise you. Master your form and technique early and you'll basically fast track your gains. Ignore it on the other hand, and you'll make some gains for sure, but you'll spin your wheels for years. The third thing I wish someone had told me is that macros aren't the whole picture. Micronutrients and food quality matter much more than you think. I started out with the whole, IIFYM approach, if it fits your macros, and yeah, it worked to a degree. I lost fat while still eating 4, maybe 5 anabolic dessert recipes a day. I used to make a ton of just chocolate cake, chocolate covered ice cream, cheesecake, whole bunch of anabolic recipes. But what I didn't realize was I was under recovering, damaging my gut health, and unknowingly creating nutrient deficiencies that would downstream impact my hormones, my metabolism, my immune function, and my energy levels. Just because I hit my protein, carbs, and fats didn't mean my body had actually what it needed to thrive. A statement I wish someone told me at the beginning is your body only adapts to the degree that it is healthy. And that health is built on the availability of micronutrients. You need vitamins, minerals, cofactors to regulate your hormones, repair tissues, manage inflammation, support neurotransmitters, drive mitochondrial production. If those foundations are compromised, your results will stall, no matter how perfect your macros or potentially your training are. Now, this brings us to something called the triage theory, which suggests that when the body is deficient in essential micronutrients, it will prioritize immediate survival over long-term function, which does make perfect sense. Your body is going to prioritize staying alive first and foremost over growing your biceps. That means when you're low in something like magnesium or zinc or B vitamins, your body will allocate what little it has to first keep you alive, not to help you build muscle, recover faster, or burn fat more efficiently. Now take a second to think about what that truly means. So your performance, your recovery, even your hormonal function get deprioritized in favor of survival. So here are just a few examples to really drill that in. Magnesium, we're going to start with that, involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those essential for testosterone production, insulin sensitivity, your ability for your muscles to relax, and nervous system regulation. Then we have zinc, which is, again, crucial for testosterone. If you're low in zinc, your testosterone will be lower. Immune health and tissue repair. A deficiency in zinc can tank your hormonal profile and your recovery capacity. Then we got selenium and iodine, which are important for thyroid hormone production, which basically drives your basal metabolic rate and your ability to burn fat efficiently. So if you're low on selenium and iodine, if you're not producing adequate T3, which is your active thyroid hormone, you're going to have to eat less calories when you're dieting than someone who has optimal thyroid function. Of course, we got a super common one, vitamin D, which actually functions like a hormone and plays a pretty central role in testosterone regulation, inflammation, as well as calcium metabolism. B vitamins. These are interesting, especially B6, B9, and B12, because they are critical for producing healthy red blood cells, which transport oxygen to working muscles and support fat oxidation. Fat loss relies on healthy red blood cells. It is oxygen dependent. To oxidize fat for fuel, literally fat oxidation, your cells need sufficient oxygen delivered via those red blood cells. If you're lacking B vitamins and your red blood cells are compromised, you reduce oxygen delivery to your tissues and your ability to burn fat drops significantly. So even if you're potentially training hard and eating in a calorie deficit, you may struggle to lose fat if your cellular oxygen delivery system is impaired. No oxygen equals no efficient fat metabolism. And again, this can fly under the radar just like it did for me. I had no clue that my potential weight loss stalls, my energy crashes throughout the day, my just be feeling sluggish was all down to my nutrient status. So here's exactly what I tell my younger self to optimize my nutrition. First and foremost, make 95% of your diet whole, single ingredient foods. If it looked like it came out of the wild, perfect. Get 2 to 3 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day. Prioritize color and variety to maximize micronutrient diversity, as well as provide diversity for the gut microbiome, which also ties into everything we mentioned in terms of hormone production, fat loss, your ability to build muscle, your mood, your neurotransmitters. So you want to keep your gut on point as well. I'd include high quality fats like egg yolks, fatty fish, grass-fed beef, olive oil, nuts, avocados. They're loaded with fat soluble vitamins as well and will support your hormonal health. And yeah, still enjoy the anabolic meals, just not every meal. I still make my Ninja Creamy ice cream. Absolutely love it. Bangs every single night. But it's 1 out of my 5 meals. Because when you prioritize food quality and hit your micronutrient targets, you'll notice absolutely everything improves. Your recovery, your sleep, your hormones, your metabolism, even how motivated and clear-headed you feel. So if you're serious about transforming your physique, your health, your performance, this is a non-negotiable. The fourth thing I wish someone had told me is to track absolutely everything. I won't lie, back in the day, I used to just kind of wing it. I feel most people do. Some people are able to get away with it, usually those with great genetics. Others, like myself, we don't have the best genetics. I used to just kind of eat clean, train hard, pray for the best. But hope is not a strategy. What gets measured gets managed, or what gets measured gets improved. Tracking gives you a roadmap. Want to lose, let's say, 10 pounds in 3 months. That's 1 pound a week. You build in a 2-week diet break. You set your calorie and step targets. You plan your training accordingly. Now you have a timeline to follow over the next 12 weeks and know exactly what to do to achieve that goal. You want to track your training, which is at the utmost importance, so you know if you're progressively overloading like we talk about, or potentially under-recovering if you're seeing your lifts regress. Track your nutrition so you can accurately manipulate your energy balance. Track your weight on a daily basis so you're not relying on 1 to 2 random weigh-ins per week, which will be extremely inaccurate and set yourself up to make some pretty dodgy changes. Progress photos. Track your sleep, which is actually huge. I'd highly recommend absolutely everybody track their sleep for at least a period of time. It doesn't need to be all the time, but you'll be able to actually objectively see how your sleep is, which is a massive eye-opener for most people. And even tracking biofeedback markers like your energy, your mood, your libido can give you a massive insight into your recovery. This data-driven approach is how you guarantee results. When you have the full picture, you can then actually make the necessary decisions week to week that will lead you to your goal. The fifth thing I wish someone had told me is that recovery isn't optional. It's quite literally the multiplier for all your hard work. When I first started lifting, I had absolutely no concept of recovery. I was honestly under the impression the more I did in the gym, the faster I'd grow. Muscles built in the gym, right? So I thought if I just annihilated every single muscle group with enough volume and intensity, I'd grow like crazy. But that mindset, paired with a diet that lacked micronutrients, very low dietary fat, and chronically being in a calorie deficit, led me straight into the gutter. My testosterone crashed, my thyroid function tanked, my energy plummeted, and I spent a few really rough months wondering why I felt so wrecked despite training harder than ever. What I didn't realize at the time was that you don't grow from your training. You grow from recovering from your training. The harder you train, the more important recovery then becomes. And if you do what I did, you combine chronic overtraining with a calorie deficit, with minimal micronutrients, and low fats on top of that, your body becomes hormonally downregulated, which is how I crashed my testosterone. Not to mention, without adequate recovery, your body's not going to prioritize building muscle or burning fat. It's going to try and conserve as much energy as possible to survive. So the real lesson I learned the hard way, the very hard way, train hard, but recover harder, because your training only works if you can recover from it. And the best way to prioritize recovery, very simply, by prioritizing your sleep. Sleep, in my opinion, is still for some reason the most overlooked performance enhancer out there. It's where your growth hormone pulses. It's where testosterone production happens. It's when the central nervous system resets, inflammation clears, muscle tissue repairs. So let me give you a few simple habits that can dramatically improve your sleep quality so you can get all the benefits and avoid all those negatives we just went over. So go to bed, wake up at the same time every day, or at least 6 nights out of the week when you can. This will be the biggest factor in terms of your sleep quality. It'll anchor your circadian rhythm, and it will improve your sleep architecture. So you're going to be getting into more deep sleep, more REM sleep, the type of sleep that actually is restorative. The second thing I think absolutely everyone can do, and there's literally no excuse, is as soon as you get up, get sunlight in your eyes, outside, not through a window. If it's dark when you get up for some reason, a Lumilight lamp or a 10,000 lux lamp will do the trick for you. This is what I use in the winter personally to still get that signal without actually having to be outside because it is dark out, especially in Canadian winters. Man, it does suck, but is what it is. Now, this exposure signals to your brain that it's morning time. It'll reinforce your cortisol rhythm, which naturally rises in the morning, and you want to support that. And it will set you up to release more melatonin that night. Now, when it comes to the evening, do your best to avoid bright light, especially blue light from screens or overhead LEDs, at least an hour or 2 hours before bed. If you can, use blue light blocking glasses or even a red light lamp. You can simply get one on Amazon and you could basically set yourself up for some optimal sleep. Now, I get not everybody wants to wear blue light glasses. It's pretty reasonable. However, next step would be an absolute non-negotiable for absolutely everybody to do right now. Pause this video, go to your accessibility settings on your phone, make sure you got red light filters. You can do it on your computer as well. And just when it becomes, let's say, 2 hours before your bedtime, you hit the accessibility feature, phone goes red, you can still use it with zero blue light. And the last thing you want to do is turn your bedroom into a bat cave, okay? So dark, cold, around 18 degrees Celsius or 65 Fahrenheit might sound pretty cold, but that or colder, and you're going to want it quiet or as quiet as you can get it. So you can use blackout curtains, a white noise machine, whatever you need to make it a true recovery environment, because that is exactly what it is. And I know that might sound like a lot if your sleep is what it was for me like 3-4 years ago, but trust me when I say this, when you make sleep a priority, your life will change. Not only just your physique, but your mood, your energy, your brain function, your mental clarity. It's night and day, literally and figuratively. How you experience life will completely change when you give your body the chance to recover the way it was designed to. So I'm going to leave you with that. Hopefully I gave you some things to ponder. Honestly, I was just talking to my younger self here, especially with that last point, answer circadian rhythm function. If anybody who played 2K back in the day, NBA 2K, and you know about those double rep events, me and my boys would stay up for 24 hours straight and grind those. So yeah, quite the change from my habits then and now. So I hope this helped. If you're listening now and this hits, then I'm glad I made this. You can start leveling up your gains, your physique, and of course, your health, energy, focus, cognitive production, quality of life, etc. So I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you very shortly. Peace.